5th annual Sakura Matsuri. How are we doing today, guys? Woo! Guys, thank you so much for coming out to the show. I'm going to squat just in case we have people in the back, because as I was watching the previous skit, I realized you don't need to see who's talking at this point. You just have a wonderful crotch shot half the time of the crowd. So I'm going to squat and meet you guys halfway. Kind of an idiot am I. Take the luxury. Exactly. It's so nice being a white guy in America. The other day I had to check my own privilege. It was so horrible. I was hoping before we got started, introduce you guys and let you know what we're all doing here today. If we could just give a round of applause to the population that gets massacred every year. These poor smiley chairs. Thank you for your sacrifice every year. They order a good 200, and by Saturday, the children have mauled them into nothing. You just see the smiley faces start descending into frowny faces like, I think these guys become the ghosts in Pac-Man by the end of it. There was one year, Sunday morning, I got in bright and early. By the way, the tech crew, they get here at 5 a.m. to set this up. Guys, there is a 5 a.m. It is just as evil as it sounds. The sun isn't even up yet. But these guys assembled, there's like 50 of them in this big row, and then the wee ones swarm. And there was this one Sunday where, I guess it was just a bunch of teething toddlers were grabbing the chairs by the heads with their teeth, flipping them upward. It was like Shark Week in slow motion. If they played the appropriate sad opera in the background, people would have been crying. It would have been the end of Saving Private Ryan. These poor inflatable chairs. My name is Uncle Yo. I'm a nerd-specific comedian. I got my start doing anime conventions almost 7-8 years ago because I grew up on video games, I grew up on anime, I grew up on something alternative, all the media that was being thrown at us from Japan. I thought by the name I would be Asian as well. I apologize. No, I don't technically. We had gotten into a fight a couple of years ago upstate at a con. It's so hard to be able to translate how deep I go into the nerd circuit, especially when I get bit by something, especially when at this point I can't even describe Pokemon to people on the outside. I was speaking with my 15-year-old nephew. So what is the big thing right now? Like, what is everybody playing? What's everybody trading? Pokemon. That's impossible. 16 years ago, I was playing Pokemon. Yeah? No, it's still here. Because originally, there's now been Pokemon Black and White, X and Y. There's now Pokemon Creationism and Atheism. There's every kind of deviant possible. Pokemon Blue and Red. Pokemon, stop trying to draw political boundaries, Pokemon. Let us collect them all. Because in my day, it was just Pokemon Red or Blue, although it was technically Pokemon Black and White because those were the only colors your Game Boy could have.
Exactly.
And you were grateful for it. It was called the Brick. You had to exchange your own batteries. Now, for the millennials in the audience, a battery was something you couldn't charge by plugging it in. You had to go buy new batteries from a place called the drugstore. Now, a drugstore, as everything just gets pulled in together. Oh, you know, start off with this one. So the big celebration that we're doing today is Japanese culture, because Japan historically has the monopoly on amazing occupations. Samurai, ninja, who are like knight samurai, ninja, Godzilla. Every one of them just deserves their own movies, deserves their own video game and fun franchises, and they've been pumping up with crazy stuff over the years. The thing that got me bit was getting up at 6:30 in the morning for that season and a half dubbed of Dragon Ball Z, because it was the phrase that bit so many what would become American otaku. That's the name we took from Japan to say, I'm a fan of this weird stuff from another country. And I know my parents aren't exactly hip to it. I have to start from the beginning every time. What are you watching now? Where do I begin? There's a country called Japan. It's like Canada, but over there. Where do I even start with this bite? Remember that restaurant we ate at? Okay, it's the nation over there, technically. Because you look at the stark cultural differences, it's such a bright culture. All of the celebrations that we're having today, all of the Samurai Soul Sword, all the amazing drum sets, you're only going to see them here. And it just makes me so excited to live in a city as culturally diverse as New York, which is just one of the highlights of living in this city. I guess what I'm trying to say is I don't have an opener for the first 5 minutes. And I'm hoping I can just go into Does anyone in the audience recognize what I'm holding now?
Oh, God.
All right. When you are a fan of something nerdy, you see it online often enough, it just gets popped up. Yes, I recognize this is from Doctor Who, but a couple of great stories I get to tell by using the prop of the sonic screwdriver. So this very Sonic was a gift to me maybe 4 or 5 years ago from very dear friends. I got to use it frequently throughout the convention circus because you can always do that gag. This prop and every other nerd prop, that's why I stopped bringing the cupcake and the manga symbols on a stick. Every time I go through LaGuardia Airport, JFK shows me right through. LaGuardia Airport security pulls me over for anything overtly nerdy, whether it's like a Star Wars hat or like a little tricorder gag. This thing got a gun pulled on me in LaGuardia Airport a couple of years ago. So, I unload my microphone, because I did a podcast at the time. I unload my CDs and DVDs, all my weird shaped dice that look like call traps and look dangerous. And the guy pulls my sonic screwdriver from Doctor Who, beloved British science fiction series, out of the box, and he says, Are you aware this is full of wires? Yes, it's a toy. Sir, what is this? I am, at this point, 4 years into the Doctor Who franchise. I am so far down the cataclysm of, like, Paul McGann, 8th Doctor audio dramas from the late 70s. I don't even have the contextualized, because my first quick and easy answer is, Doctor Who is the longest running science fiction property that came out originally in Britain. It premiered in November of 1963, starring William Hartnell, who was originally involved. Those words are trying to filter out of the tiny hole of my mouth, and I just yell, it's a toy! It's a toy! Now, for those of you who remember the 11th Doctor, his screwdriver would do this. Or if you press the center button, it's spring traps. Let me tell you something about security at LaGuardia. They hate surprises. They hate anything spring-loaded. So it pops up, no longer glowing. I now have TSA's gun and taser on me. I know what to do. Show of hands. What is wrong with this? Why doesn't it light up? Well, there's a red button on the bottom of the handle, and if you want it to light up, you have to press it. I don't press red buttons, sir. I am clearly pressing all of yours. How can I get on the plane and live? This bad boy, I love this poor prop. Because at JFK now, they slow you down for everything. Getting off at JFK last weekend, I didn't know they had this. When you exit, there's normally something called the door. They open the door, you walk out the door. Now they have this, you know how when you go through security now at an airport, there's this weird bubble plastic that you stand in there, please hold up your hands, we're just going to look inside you completely. That turkey sandwich might be dangerous. Well, if I were lactose intolerant, maybe there was a lot of mayo in that thing, but as of right now, it should be okay. To leave JFK, they had this plastic bubble that they were letting 5 people in at a time. The glass door would slide shut. Nothing would happen. The glass door would slide open, and 5 people would go through. Then the next 5. There's a line of 30 people. We're telling the lady, could you open the door? Because we've clearly just landed, which means we already went through security where we came through before, and then security when we left the plane. 6 of us get crowded into the bubble. Get very close and personal. It's fine. I'm a New Yorker. We're used to this on the subway. Everybody huddle. Everybody hug. So you go over there. The door closes. 10 seconds go by. Nothing happens. The lights in the bubble go off. And we see the lady open the door for the line of 30 people to pass us. This is like the end of the second Hunger Games movie. Hey! I did not volunteer as tribute! What is this? Candace and I have to go! We have to catch a bus! Family Guy's in a half an hour! But this is what it takes to get into and out of the city at this point. I'm traveling around. What were the shows that I grew up on? I'm amazed at what still sticks around today. I just had a conversation with my mother about the new Star Wars movie coming out. And I did love J.J. Abrams' Star Wars A New Hope 2.0. But she had sat me down originally at the kitchen table. Is Star Wars coming back? Yes. Yes, it is. Your father took me to see Star Wars before you were born. I know. Didn't it come out before? We don't talk about those movies. So it's coming out again? Again? It technically never left.
Exactly.
Because as soon as you have laser ships and space swords, we're good to go. Everybody's happy about that. What Japan does is take an inch and give it a mile. Because what I've learned about watching anime all my life, Japan loves American cinema. But they love girls in short skirts so much more. And will do anything to throw that Anna Giant robot in. They were the ones who created Ultron. Not Ultron, Ultraman. Wow, that was just a crossover of that. I apologize to our Western fans, alright? Spot me on Tumblr. They're the guys who gave us Voltron. The idea that there wasn't just a giant robot flying through space killing other giant robots, it was made of 5 robots. 5 robot lions. 5 giant, fireproof, black hole-proof giant robots. At some point, you're not even giving the other guy a chance to fight. It's one thing to step into a boxing ring with Mike Tyson. It's another thing when he brings 5 lions on a leash and then gives them armor and a flamethrower in the mouth. Voltron's right arm was the red lion, the fire lion, the thing living in a volcano. He could shake your hand with a flamethrower. His feet were made of lion heads. He could kick you in the groin and then bite down. And he was the defender of the universe. But considering Voltron's entire job, murder every other giant robot.
Exactly.
Voltron had identity issues. Where I got my start was at a show called the New York Anime Festival. Now, what I love about the Brooklyn Botanical Garden, why I love that we have the J-Pop Lounge up here, is the American nerds have a place to go to celebrate. That's what the costumes are walking around. These are people who've played a game until it becomes muscle memory. They've sang a song until it becomes part of their identity. Because your identity is formed of so many things. Who your parents are, your favorite food, what you're allergic to, where you were when 9/11 happened, your favorite song, your favorite music. That's part of you too. And sometimes you get to dress up to show the rest of the world they think it's Clark Kent. Down below you might be a Superman hiding in disguise. I love cosplay. I love the formation of it. But I love giant robots so much more. It's crippling. We used to have a show called the New York Anime Festival at the Jacob Javits Center. It got so big, New York Comic Con bought the New York Anime Festival, and then they realized American anime fans had no money. So they found out over the years of where to place us. First they did a joint show, and then by the next year, they put us all in the basement. You want an anime program? Go down into the basement, away from the actual vendors. Wait, what is happening at this point? By the next year, they put us up in the attic. They shuffled the American otaku around like we were the visiting home grad student. Like we had just gotten home with our MFA in creative writing. Jobs are going to start rolling in any time, Mom. They just put us in the basement again. No, your father wants to study. So they put us up in the attic with a lovely view of New Jersey, where almost all of us would end up moving to, because the rent was cheaper.
Exactly.
I saw a t-shirt the other day that made me laugh, because a decade ago this would have been appropriate. I had this t-shirt growing up. Anime, drugs would be cheaper. And they were right back when you got 3 episodes of something on a VHS tape because you had done the research and traveled around just to get Volume 4 of Berserk. You were never going to see Volumes 1, 2, 3, but you got 4 and 7 for some reason. Over the years, we were back in the day, because I laugh when people say, I binge-watched this whole weekend on Netflix. Yeah, we watched Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt in an afternoon. Oh, normal, please. Let me tell you about a stack of CDRs with burnt, pirated Inuyasha DVDs.
Yes.
That took up an entire month. And after 200 episodes, you were done half of it, Ark. But back in the original day, we had to get anime from Napster. We had to download, before the times of BitTorrent, an AVI file.
Yes.
The purpose of an AVI file was you signed into AOL, prayed no one had to use the phone for 3 days, prayed that your little stealing contact over in China wasn't going to get arrested by the police, and after 3 days you got a new episode of Cowboy Bebop, and you were grateful for it. And if the download crapped out at like 99.9%,
oh, God.
which only happened 98.9% of the time.
Exactly. Yeah.
You had garbage. It would not play. Nothing happened. We spent months, years went by before we ever learned if the Frieza fight from Dragon Ball Z ended. Not how, if.
Yeah.
At all. Kids today, I don't know what they're going to complain about. We drove around, and if you wanted anime, you had to get a VHS tape. You had to get an off-colored VHS tape. Someone from your library had to know a guy who knew a really creepy guy who most likely offed some guy in downtown Chinatown and brought you back these off-colored 7th-generation transfer tape VHSs. And you could see these dubs from a moment away. These fan subs were subbed by people in China who knew of English, had heard of it, but characters' names would change all the time. Punctuation would be at the top of the screen. There was no sense of... And every new frame, you just paused the tape and you played what was called the guessing game. New subtitle. All right, here we go. So it's Goku versus Vegeta. Okay, I recognize that word. Something butter donkey news shoe dropkick. What is this? My first album is called What's the Hell Your Heart, quite literally from a translation I got from... I'm glad we don't have this on eBay anymore. A show called Soul Taker. To contextualize...